Hey there, Erin from Morehouse Farm with today's quick video on knitting short rows. The first method that most knitters learn when you're learning short rows is the wrap and turn. And as you can see here, it's created the shaping along my swatch by creating one less stitch in each row. And these little wraps here are almost like a little scarf around each stitch. And what that is going to do is it's going to help us create a hole-less, meaning no holes, project when we start to join this with the next round as we go around the corner for shaping. So when you start the wrap and turn, you need to make sure that the work is to the back when you're knitting. And in our case, it is knit to the last few over here. This is going to be my next wrap and turn stitch. So when I get to that point, right, which is going to tell me that I'm in the right place because I'm counting, when it says knit to the last 5, wrap and turn, here I am, there's 5 stitches left, then I'm going to wrap and turn. So what I'm going to do is slip the stitch, I'm going to wrap the yarn around it, I'm going to slip it back onto the needle, and then I'm going to turn my work around. That creates that little scarf around the stitch, and then we continue on. So when I purl, I'm going to bring the yarn forward, and I'm going to purl to the last 5. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to purl 2 more stitches. 1, 2, and I'm going to wrap and turn on the purl side. So again, I'm going to slip it. Going to bring the yarn to the opposite side. I'm going to slip the stitch back onto the needle, and then I'm going to turn the work and knit again. Now because I'm knitting, I need to bring it to the back. 1, 2, because there is 1 left here without a scarf, and we'll keep on going because the instructions here say we would now pick up the rest of the stitches along with their wraps. So in order to do that, I'm going to slide the needle under the wrap and knit just as if I was knitting these two together. I'm going to do the same through the rest of the rows, and if it gets a little awkward, you can do them one at a time. But basically you're knitting the wrap with the stitch all together. And this last one was all by itself anyway, so we'll just knit to the end. And see how that creates a nice joinery between the stitches. Whereas if this was just one shorter stitch for each row, you would have a much more jagged stair-step effect. And see how that's starting to create some curve? That's the point of short rows. Now I'll show you going back the other way since we're going to be purling. And you do this both the same American or continental. You wrap the yarn around just as you were going to be knitting, and then you make sure as you pick up on the way by, you pick up the stitches along with their wraps. So for here, we're just getting back to the point where we started the wraps and turns on the wrong side of the project. Okay, so here's our last, I believe, one with the wrap and turn. You can always look to the front side and check it. Looks like this was a regular stitch. So we'll just purl that one. And now we're going to purl together. And sometimes it's easier if you bring them both up onto the needle so that you can work them together. Sometimes you're able to grab them and just work them at the same time. Oops. Sometimes they slide off the needle. So this is going to take a little bit of practice, like every other technique that we've been working on. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And in this project, the snow day slippers, you've got 3 chances to work on this. And they go pretty quick. And here we are to our last one in the row. And you can see how it started to create the shaping here for the toe. And if I slide this down onto the circular, you can see that's taken what was flat knitting and started to give it a little bit of shape. Happy knitting from Morehouse Farm.